Welcome back to the Hurry Up Offense Fantasy Football News and Advice for Week 16 of the NFL Fantasy Football season. It's almost over, guys. It's almost over. Oh, man. I am Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. Let's go. Well, the topic of today is Championship Week news. I mean, that's really all you can take from this. You're probably in the playoff if you're listening to this, or you're just trying to be a good fantasy football player for next season and do what you should do, which is still fill out your team for the rest of the season. A lot of teams are in championship week right now. A lot of teams actually put it off till next week. Week 16 is traditionally championship week, but the season has been extended by one game this year, so some teams, some leagues have week 17 championship week. But whatever it is, we're going to get into the news and hopefully help you win that championship. What a time for a COVID outbreak right now. Apparently everyone on Kansas City has COVID right now. Oh man, this is tough. Right here at championship week, we are in the playoffs, guys. Y'all could have held off. Actually, in all actuality, they wanted it to happen now rather than in the actual playoffs, if it was going to happen. Not saying they wanted it to happen at all. But Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Harrison Butker. Let's see, who else? Blake Bell, Rashad Fenton. Like, that's not even all of them. This team has over 10 players going to the COVID IR right now. Man, it's tough. It's tough. Load up on some backups. If you're still running waivers right now, load up on some backups because that might be your only option at this point if you're in a deep league. J.D. McKissick is on the IR. Probably done for the season at this point with a neck injury. I guess it's not COVID, but that's even worse for fantasy options with J.D. McKissick. You're going to have to look for backups there. He's probably not playing for the rest of the season. Marquez Valdes-Scantling over with the Packers hits the COVID list. Jesus, there's going to be a ton of this. Just strap down, guys. There's going to be a ton of COVID news here. Just had a breakout game. Marquez Valdes-Scantling just had a nice, lovely breakout game, and now he's on the list. So you might not have him next week. Cole Beasley is on the COVID IR. Now, we know during the offseason he made a big deal about not getting that vaccine. So he's going to be out for at least 10 days. Don't expect to have him against the Patriots this week, which was a tough spot for him anyway. So you're probably not missing a ton of production there, but he's going to be out for 10 days. The Buccaneers have added Le'Veon Bell to the roster. Now this is actually kind of interesting. With Leonard Fournette going down with a hammy, he may miss the next 2 games at worst, maybe 3, but you're only really concerned about the next 2 for fantasy implications for the most part. Le'Veon Bell. Now, you would normally think this guy is not going to be productive. He hasn't been productive at like the last 3 teams he's been on. So why would we care? Well, it's because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady loves these veteran, older guys, no matter what position they are. If he can get a guy that used to be a superstar, he will find a way to turn that guy back into a superstar. So if Le'Veon Bell makes the active roster and he's actually out there for at least half of the snaps with Tom Brady, I expect him to be completely useful in fantasy. No other team, I don't think this would be happening. But him landing on the Bucs right now, I think it is very possible. So watch out for that. This is a really cool development right here over with the Texans. Now, A.J. Brown right now appears to be on track to play in Week 16. So does Julio Jones. Julio is back at practice also after his hamstring injury, which Julio gets injured in every game that he plays. I think that's just a given at this point. But when both of these guys are out on the field, that gives a ton of passing option for Ryan Tannehill, and both of these guys, especially A.J. Brown, I expect to be very productive in this game versus the 49ers if they both are out there. Now, this is a package deal. We need both of these guys out there for at least Julio to be productive. Now, A.J. Brown can stand alone. He can be productive as long as Ryan Tannehill is looking his way. But if both of these guys out there, it's just an added bonus, and I will play A.J. Brown this week if he is on the field. Austin Hooper is coming off of the COVID list. Not that anyone is especially looking forward to playing Austin Hooper, but tight end landscape right now is horrible. There's not a lot of usable assets in the tight end world these days. It's hard finding 12. If you're in the playoffs, you could be in a tight situation. You could look toward Hooper, but if you were playing Donovan Peoples-Jones, because remember Jarvis Landry is still on the list, if Donovan Peoples-Jones is out there, he actually having Hooper out on the field helps his chances of being more productive. You follow me? Yes. We want to see Hooper out there, whether you play him or not. DJ Moore is still sidelined Wednesday with a hamstring injury. Everybody's either has COVID right now or has a hamstring injury. It's crazy. Crazy times in the NFL. If you don't see DJ Moore practicing this week, it's not going to look good for his hopes playing this weekend. But if he is playing, he's actually in a good spot this coming up week. That is a pass funnel defense that the Bucs have going. So if he's out there, I expect him to be productive, even with Cam Newton at quarterback. Whoa. Scratch that. Cam Newton will not be playing quarterback. This just came right through the wire that Sam Darnold is playing quarterback for the Panthers this week. Now, we saw that DJ Moore was productive with Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold actually had some good games this season very early in the season. Now, he looked bad right before he went out. So did Cam Newton. I don't know. Maybe this is a thing with the Panthers. Maybe this is how Matt Rule works. Maybe your quarterback comes in and has a couple of really good games before he blows it all and loses everything. So, maybe this is good for Darnold. Maybe he comes back and he's actually elite for a good couple of games and actually helps you win a championship. I like David Moore this week. I'd play him. Elijah Mitchell is declared out for Thursday night. So you can go ahead and load up on Jeff Wilson. Now, I'm not excited about playing Jeff Wilson here because the Titans are no pushover at run defense. They actually have a pretty decent one. They are kind of like the Bucs in this pass funnel defense. So I'm expecting the San Francisco 49ers to win through the air. A lot of Debo and Kittle in this game. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not excited about playing Jeff Wilson, but if you're really in a pinch, go ahead and throw him out there because this is Kyle Shanahan, and I'm sure he will get something out of him. Austin Ekeler is officially on the COVID list now, so you're going to have to load up on Jackson if you want a piece of this game. Maybe he's not on the COVID list. Maybe he is. Maybe he's just injured. Well, it turns out he is on the COVID list, and he's not playing this week. So Jackson is your guy. Hey, look at this. Don't worry about Joe Mixon. He was a full go in practice this week. He looked really injured last week. That ankle didn't seem to be setting right with him, and he was not very productive in that game. It was a very ugly game. But looks like he's going to play against the Ravens this week. I expect that game to be a little more productive than almost every other game that happened last week. So, I think Joe Mixon is safe to play this week. It's the playoffs. You're not going to sit Joe Mixon, right? That would be dumb. Well, last and most certainly least this week, this is not exciting at all, but Adam Trautman hits the COVID list, and so does Will Dissly. There you go. A pair of tight ends to hit the COVID list to wrap up the news for Week 16. Guys, I hope you're in the playoffs. I hope you win. I hope I win. I'm going after a championship 2-game week coming up, or 2-week game coming up, and I'm in the semifinals of another one. I'm in the final 3 of an elimination league. Easy for me to say, an elimination league. Yeah. Plus, I got a few best ball teams that I'm hoping do something great in the $1 million tournament. Nobody wants to hear about my teams, though. You want to know about your teams. And that is it for this week. Please subscribe to the Beyond Football channel. And if you want to hear Alex and I break down every game every single week and tell you who the winners are going to be, just look for that. The scoreboard will be right up on the channel right before this one comes out. So if you're listening to this, it's already up there. Go check it out. Please subscribe to the Beyond Football channel if I haven't already said that, which I think I have, but I had to reiterate. I am Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. I'll see you next week. Deuces.